So I'm going to go ahead and introduce everybody. So for those of you that don't know me, sorry, my video is off currently because I've got some network connectivity issues, but my name is Brenton Hudak. I'm the Industry Relations Manager at PWR, and I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us today on this call. Nick is on our YPN committee and brought in Stephen Thomas to go ahead and talk to you guys about things going on in the economy right now. We're all really excited to have him here, and if you've tuned in a little bit early, you kind of got to hear a little bit more of our chatting than anticipated, but welcome everybody. Looks like we've got about 245 people, so that's pretty awesome. One thing I did want to touch on before we get started, if you're attending today and you're looking to get more involved with YPN, you're interested in attending more of our events, we're actually having a Wake Up with YPN. Normally they're once a month, our YPN mixers in the morning at 9 a.m. on one Friday of every month. This month we're doing it virtually, and we'll be having Carol Kwan from the Los Angeles County Tax Assessor's Office speaking this Friday at 9 a.m. So if you're interested in that, you can find out more on pwr.net under the calendar tab, and that's going to go ahead and be on there. And like I said, it is on Friday, so in 2 days at 9 a.m. With that, Nick, I'll hand it over to you to go ahead and introduce Stephen.
All right, thank you so much. Yeah, so we're going to welcome Mr. Stephen Thomas. I'm really excited to have him here with us today. He's been keeping, I know the realtors at our company, Coldwell Banker Coastal Alliance, on track a lot through his weekly Facebook Live events, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. and Fridays at 3 p.m. He's just a wealth of knowledge, amazing economist, and he covers all of our counties here in Southern California. So without further ado, I love the way he introduces himself as well, Mr. Stephen Thomas.
Thank you. I appreciate it. No need to applause, everybody. I can't hear you. So I'll go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started. Let's see. Oops, am I sharing the wrong screen?
I think you're good.
You guys can see that? LA and housing update? Good.
No, I see PWR login.
Oh, and then I got the wrong one. Hang on. Hang on just a second. I don't know why I did that. Let's see. Stop share, share screen, and go to there. Boom. Screen 2. There we go. Flowers.
Beautiful.
Yes, beautiful. It is spring. So anyway, this is the LA and OC housing update. I know that PWR, you guys encompass both, so I have slides for both counties. And I didn't try to make this, as much as possible, I didn't want to make it a SoCal thing like I do the other. I want to drill it down a little bit more specific to all of you. So without further ado, spring fun photo. I always like to start off with some levity. So this is going to be no different. So here are some fun spring photos, and I don't know about you, but I'm definitely dealing with it is way overdue for a haircut. My hairstylist is he's texting me, but that's about, I can't get a haircut from a text. But we can all agree for the next apocalypse that the hairstylist can be an essential service. Sure, son and dad. I thought that was funny, generation gap. When your hair salon is closed, but your dog groomer has a cancellation. Beautiful. I want my wife to do this. I'm going to have to sacrifice a pair of jeans. I think this is absolutely brilliant. So stay tuned for that. I think that's fun. Donde está Wally, coronavirus edition. Yeah, due to social distancing, it is much easier to find Wally. Yep, there he is on the right. See him? Real estate showing pods, don't cancel that appointment. Show property safely and stylishly. Convenient pocket for Lysol and hand sanitizer. Keep all flaps zipped up for private phone conversations, available in a variety of colors. I don't know if this is for real, but I thought it was seriously funny. I want to buy one. It should be fun. My wife said it's going to be a while before you can get out there and do live stuff because she really wants this hunker down till June 1st. So I might have to get one of these. And my kids, I thought that they'd be mortified by this, but they want me to do this to them as well. Because yes, they can be loud. And matter of fact, I was doing a presentation this morning and they were screaming around. So I had to actually pause my presentation, open my doors and parent for a moment and tell them to keep it down in the middle of a presentation. So my background is I've been giving myself to Orange County, my reports to Orange County Register since 2004. And subsequently, I've been all over the place. Been on KNX 1070 a couple weeks ago. been part of the stories of NBC in San Diego recently, as well as Orange County Register, LA Times, the San Diego Tribune. I've been to New York, as well as Financial Times. Just nothing but sending my report to these people. I'm a quantitative economics decision sciences major. I've been doing this for 29 years. I actually started out as a real estate agent, knocking doors, all that good stuff, all the way to helping out run a brokerage. And then I've been doing the housing report since 2004. And I'm an Orange County native, Capitol Valley High School grad. Yes, I do have 9 kids. I can't hear the oohs and the ahs or the smiles or the laughter, but that's typically where this happens. I'm an avid runner. Used to run away from my kids, but all my kids are athletes. The one second to on the right, bottom right, the second right next to me, she is training for a marathon. She ran 19.6 on Saturday. So like I said, they're all athletes. Many of them are soccer studs, and a lot of them are runners. I brought 6. We're a Brady Bunch family. My wife brought 2. We had them all the time. I adopted hers. She adopted mine. And we had this bonus guy. He's in the middle of potty training. Actually, right now, he's in the middle of a nap. So cute kids, lots of fun. Keeps me busy, that's for sure. And keeps us both busy. My wife can organize like nobody else's business. So you go to reportsonhousing.com, you hit subscribe, and it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you use the coupon code YPN, and that'll get you a month free, either on the monthly or the annual. If you do the annual, you'll get 13 months versus 12 months. And if you want to see what those reports look like, you can navigate to my site and look at the FAQ and sample reports, and you can see what the different reports look like. Actually, we chose different reports so you could see a variety of reports, as well as all the different counties and how the metrics, it's not just LA County, it drills it down to the city, the price range, attached versus detached, a lot of good stuff. So, and it gives you what the current active listing inventory is, demand, and all that good stuff. And speaking of that, so most reports, like right now, we just learned what happened in March. I really don't care what happened in the month of March. That's a reflection of January, February. We all know it was really good. So median sales price should be fine. There was a slight drop in the number of closed sales that we would have done, because there were some cancellations, probably in the neighborhood of between 5 and 10% off of where we would have been had we not had to deal with this virus. But I don't like to operate in the rearview mirror, especially right now. I want to know what the facts are today. How do we navigate right now today? And so I'm looking out the windshield, looking at the active listing inventory and the last 30 days worth of demand, which is pending sales. So active inventory is supply, demand is the velocity of the market based upon the last 30 days worth of pending sales. So, and I'm looking at pendings and under contract, and I'm utilizing both when we actually put together transactions. And from that, we can actually gauge expected market time. If you place your home on the market today, when are we going to be opening up escrow down the road? And that's very important if you're a seller, also buyer, because you want to know what kind of a market you're working in. Because there's some buyers right now that think we should be shaving so much value off of so many different price ranges. And it's just not happening, and we'll get into that. So the agents use the housing report to get listings to help them with part of their listing presentation, as well as to get price reductions. I hear it all the time. I have a video, just haven't had the time to put it up. I will be putting it up shortly. That will talk. They will talk about why they like the report so much, and then get people off of the fence and into escrow. That's what it's about. And it's really about setting expectations of buyers and sellers, especially right now. Sellers want to know what the heck's going on, and buyers, they need to know what the heck's going on, because they actually have a misconception of the direction that we're headed currently. And at the bottom of every report are a bunch of links. So if you sign up today, we'll send out the last one that just came out on Monday. And at the very, very bottom, there's a bunch of links. And those links are one that you can use for printing, copy, cut, edit, pasting. There's Excel spreadsheets. I'd print out everything and make it a part of a big package that I would include with my marketing proposal at the listing table. And I'd use, there's excerpts for blogs, Facebook, social media, as well as your websites. And then we have lots of charts that we're updating continuously as well. So these come out every 2 weeks. The last one, we crunched the numbers on Thursday. It came out on Monday. So the next one will crunch a week from tomorrow, and it'll come out the following Monday. So it's every 2 weeks. It's Riverside, San Bernardino, they're actually the following week. We crunch the numbers tomorrow, and then we send out the report this coming up Monday. So we're not doing 5 reports all at the same time. We do San Diego, LA, and Orange County this week, and then San Bernardino, Riverside next week. And just alternating. So I started all in Orange County in 2004, very, very busy last year. And that is in Los Angeles, San Diego, Riverside, and San Bernardino, just launched those reports. In LA and San Diego, we just hit our 1-year mark. A lot of people, like we were talking beforehand, didn't even know that you even did this, came out of the woods. That's because it's very, very hard to advertise in this space. So I was actually doing it through the networking way, and was hitting a lot of different brokerages, especially within the last few months, right prior to COVID-19. So here's what the reports have looked like. We started off this year with the supply problem. We were hotter than even I anticipated, but I actually saw this coming from the summer of 2019. I said that we were going to go into a really good market. A lot of people weren't believing me, but numbers and data, they don't lie. They tell you, they give you a total roadmap of the direction that you're headed, where we currently are and where we're headed based upon trends. So this actually not only was better than well, not only was it a great hot market, it was better than what I thought originally. And we had a supply issue. And just so you guys understand, we place the same number of homes on the market at any given time. The reason that we have such fewer homes in the market at the very beginning of this year was because we were placing them all into escrow. Compare that to the prior year, we weren't placing as many into escrow, so we had more lingering, and it started back in 2018 when interest rates hit 5%. So that's really what the supply issue is, and this is what this report actually talked about, is that we just have a stronger velocity of demand. And that's why we had a supply problem. Temperature rising, that is, once we got to Super Bowl, which is what we always say, we hit a hot market. And that's when the expected market temp for all of LA and Orange County dipped below 60 days. And that's where it gets to be a more feverish pace, as well as we start seeing more multiple offers, giant open houses, prices where they sell for at or higher than their asking prices, and we're starting to get record prices again in neighborhoods. That's what was going on at the beginning of the year. Then the coronavirus hit. And I wrote this was at the end of February, the very, very start of March. I knew that this was a problem. I had a problem presenting at offices. There were some offices that didn't want me presenting on the coronavirus. And I was baffled. I didn't understand why they wouldn't want to include it, because it was really going crazy. I knew it was a freight train that was going to hit us. And we'll say any questions and answers that you have, I think the best thing for me to do is just flow through it, and then we'll answer it at the end, because rather than, it gets really choppy with these Zooms if I do it any other way, because I start getting choppy myself. So I'm just going to continue to go, and we'll answer those Q&A that come in at the very, very end. So you can continue to ask questions along the way or at the very end, however you guys want to do it, but I'll answer them at the end. COVID-19 cracks, this was at the end of March, and we hit it, and I knew that there was a problem because there was cracks in the housing market, and I've seen it in demand really fast. And then the showdown. This showdown is the difference between low supply, that favors sellers, and very, very low demand, which favors buyers. And now they're duking it out. This is unlike the Great Recession, and we'll explain that. And then we have broad market interruption. This is the one that just came out on Monday, and it's like timeout, and it explains why kind of the housing market's on pause, and there's the dueling forces of supply and demand, but and it illustrates what's going on in different price ranges, and we will show you that in a second. And then, like we talked about, housing debrief, 3 o'clock. Those are Tuesdays and Fridays, and but now let's talk a little bit about the coronavirus. I'm gonna shut off my printer that keeps rebooting. So apologize for that. Here I'm back. I didn't want to stand up because then you'd see that I'm wearing shorts, because we don't need to wear slacks and dress shoes. I'm also wearing slippers in the house. So I hope you all are all doing the same. At least I look super professional from the neck up, right? So coronavirus and the economy, what we were looking at prior to this even coming, and it was this gentleman by the name of Logan Mohtashami, Mohtashami, Logan Mohtashami. And the reason why I throw out that name is because I want you to find him on Facebook and follow him. He too has no more room for friends. I have a little bit more room, but he has no more room for friends. And he puts out these Facebook Lives, and they're very, very telling, very entertaining, as well as right on the money. And he follows the macroeconomics of things better than anybody I know, and he taught me quite a bit. So I think we need to follow him, and he's also a writer. So I would follow Logan Mohtashami. But he talked about this very early. What we're looking for is scale and duration. And we have the scale. How big is this gonna be? Well, we already hit it. We're big. It's hit us pretty hard. And now when you go to this Harvard dashboard, John Hopkins dashboard, you can see they used to have recoveries, but now they're talking about total tests conducted, and we'll get into that in a second as well, because there's a lot of misinformation about that area. This is all of the United States. This was taken right before our presentation. You can see we're at almost 840,000 cases in the US. We are gonna hit 1 million down the road. And the reason why I'm pointing out this is these are all the counties ranked from top to bottom in all of the United States, and how many people it has affected, how many confirmed cases. And you can see Los Angeles is on this list. Los Angeles is number 6 on the list. We are actually, Los Angeles is worse off than all those other areas in New Jersey. I'm sure if you take the number by number of millions in there, that those other areas in New Jersey will be less, but still it is something to note that LA is having some issues with COVID-19, more so than many other areas. So we have scale. Now let's talk about duration. You can see this on this map that across around the world we've already plateaued, and it looks like we're going to start to come down. And hopefully that is the case. It's at least plateaued, and we want to see these numbers go down, but at least we plateaued and we're no longer increasing past 90,000 cases per day. So there is light at the end of the tunnel because of this. We know that the way that this has to look, it goes up and then it plateaus and then eventually starts to come down. So that's what we're looking for. And that's what we are really looking for here in the United States. Speaking of the United States, so we didn't have a very good day yesterday, and not very happy about this. What happens is sometimes on the weekends, there's not a lot of good reporting coming on, and that the last dot is yesterday, which is Tuesday, and the dot before that is Monday, and it looked like, oh yeah, that's a nice trajectory, but then we got the spike up, which means that this plateau is just continuing to take the averages. So we haven't really come down off of this yet, nor should we be, based upon everything that we're looking at as a country, we should not be reopening up for business, and we'll get into that in a second. And this is California. Actually, take this from the New York Times. I guess I forgot to put the logo at the bottom. I have on many other presentations. This is from the New York Times. So anyways, as far as total cases are concerned, you can see for California, we too had a little bit of an issue over the last couple of days, and that was after a Sunday of it being really slow. So we hit a little bit of a spike in numbers of cases. And so it looks like it's plateaued overall, but that's a plateau. We need to start coming down in order, and for a couple weeks straight in order to even get to phase 1. And coronavirus and the facts, Southern California cases. There are a little over 15,000 cases in Los Angeles, and Los Angeles is the #1 county in California with the most cases. Number 2 with the most cases is Riverside County with 2,960. Number 3 is actually up towards the Bay Area. Number 4 is San Diego with 2,434. And number 5 is OC with 1,691. And then we have San Bernardino with 1,489, and they are number 6. So you can see out of the top 6, all of Southern California is in it. So as far as being unlocked first, we're not in the front of that line. we're more towards the back of the line. They will be able to unlock certain aspects of it shortly, but I mean, I hear what they're talking about, golf courses and things like that, and that is that to me is kind of funny that we're talking about golf courses. I'm not going to get political at all. I think that it says something funny about what we talk about. Washington State, this is where we want to be. So if anybody's going to unlock, Washington State is going to be first, but they're working in conjunction with Idaho and California. California is not so hot on the south side. On the north side, it's okay. So that's where you're going to see a lot more mobility and unlocking. But this is a really good sign because Washington was the first state to have their lockdown, and we were right after them to follow. So we were one of the first couple of states. And I show this because this shows light at the end of the tunnel as well. Italy and Spain. Spain is actually the #1 worst country in the world behind Italy. Italy is actually #4, and it's based upon number of cases divided by your population. So actually Spain was the worst. And so, but Spain's coming down, Italy's coming down, their numbers are coming down, and so are their deaths. So they're starting to unlock a few things in Italy, but not yet. They're just at phase 1, and it's only a few things. But at least we get to see the pathway that some of these countries are going, so that we can mirror and learn from what's going on there. So what about unlocking our economy? It's not going to be a switch. It's not going to be, hey guys, we're back to normal. That's just not how it's going to happen. And I'm sure that we're all wrapping our heads around that and understands that. Instead, it's going to be more like a dial where it's going to be this slow progression. Oops. And this is actually a PDF. You could download this down from the White House. And this is opening up America again guidelines. And these are just guidelines that are brought to you by the White House and the CDC, and they're guidelines for the rest of the United States. And then it's up to the governors. It starts to get more local. Governors rules the states, and they're the ones that are going to be in charge of doing this. So there is a 3-phase approach that they're talking about. And phase 2, they want to see, and I forgot to see, these are these little errors that I did. 2 weeks, cases trending downward. I don't know why I said trending. 2 weeks, cases trending downward. That's what they need to see. That's #1. And #2, they want to see testing. They want to see adequate testing across the United States and in all the localities. So they want robust testing, and they want antibody testing. And those are the kind of testing that we have, where we're not only doing COVID-19 specific, but we're doing antibody testing. It's something on the side, that's the swab that you're talking about. And that is something that we're going to have to gear up for. So phase 1 is the vulnerable. After they have 2 weeks of coming down and they have adequate testing, this is what the recommendation is. Vulnerable, continue to shelter in place. Continue social distancing for everybody. Meetings, no more than 10 people in a gathering and with social distancing. Return to work in phases if possible. And continue teleworking if you at all possibly can. Phase 2, I don't know why there's a little yellow arrow there. There it is. No evidence of a rebound, and 2 weeks, again, of it coming down further. But that means no evidence of rebound, so there's no, like, all of a sudden blips, you know, kind of like if you saw China, they recalculated things, all of a sudden they had this gigantic blip. That's where we'd have to see a change when we go to phase 2. Vulnerable, continue to shelter in place, continue teleworking, and open up schools, open up YMCA, open up daycares. I got a 2-year-old. And then camps and all that stuff can open up. Continue social distancing. Now you can have meetings of 50 or more, but it has to be a big enough room so you can have adequate social distancing. And non-essential, it should say travel. Non-essential travel can resume. Phase 2, so that should say travel. And I was updating it for this meeting in a couple typos. There's my arrow again. So no evidence of rebound again, and 2 more weeks of coming down, you go to phase 3. And phase 3 is vulnerable, can resume public interaction, but practice physical distancing. Phase 3 is a ways off in the distance. Understand that. It's going to take a while because of there will be some reoccurrence that we're going to see in certain areas. So, but vulnerable can resume public interaction, but practice physical distancing, businesses back to normal. And then that's the United States recommendation. And then you got to follow what they're saying. I know Newsom's going to speak today, and I know he's bringing all governors back, including Democrats and Republicans, as well as a lot of different thought leaders, as well as industry leaders that are running giant companies here in California, and they're all going to be part of this team that's going to talk about how we properly unlock things. Because what we don't need to see is what they've had problems with meatpacking plants back in the Midwest, where now they have a COVID-19 breakout, and they had to shut down the entire plant, and then you get these spikes in the numbers and everybody has to resume a lockdown. That's not what we want. So California's 6 indicators for modifying the stay-at-home order, it's more about the testing to prevent infection in people who are more at risk, handle surges in the hospital and health system, develop therapeutics to meet demands. That is, therapeutics are so you can take some sort of pill or something like that, medicine, so that we don't have to rush to the hospital. And then ensure businesses, schools, and child care facilities can support physical distancing. I don't even know if we're going to be able to go back to school in the fall. I know that that Cal State Fullerton is going to resume online classes in the fall. Determine when to reinstitute certain measures, such as the stay-at-home order. So this is what they're looking at. This is their guideline, and this is taken from Statista. What they're very concerned about is that people aren't mindful of the recommendations from the scientists, and they go out there too fast. Because the problem is we're fighting a war. This is World War III, and World War III is an invisible enemy. As a whole world, we're coming together and we're fighting this invisible enemy, and the battle is taking place in the people that have tested positive in their own homes, and they might have some symptoms and all that stuff, or in the hospitals. The front line are the nurses, EMT, firemen, doctors, all those people, but we don't get to see that. I personally have a friend that was on a ventilator for 17 days or 18 days, and he has since tested COVID-19 negative twice, and now they moved him from Mission Hospital to Laguna Beach Hospital, and that's where they're taking him afterwards. It's a long recovery when you're that long on a ventilator. And so I personally thought I was going to lose a good friend. And I understand it. I've seen the enemy, and but we all understand it's invisible. But I understand we're all anxious to get out, but we're doing the right thing. We've come this far. We just need to get to that finish line so that we can start opening up things mindfully. Because if we do it too fast, this is what they think will happen if we reopen too soon. There'll be a surge in cases and a surge in deaths. And they have a minimum case scenario, which at the very least would be 94,000. And they most likely think it's going to be 302,000. And of course, they have a worst case scenario. So it's probably somewhere in the middle if we unlock too early. So I found this very interesting. My wife made us all masks, made family members masks, made friends masks. And it's funny how Asians have no problem with wearing masks. I heard that there's a trust issue there in some of those areas. Vietnam, China, South Korea, they're all going to be wearing those masks. But when you start getting down that list, look at United States, 50%. There's a 50-50 chance that you're going to be wearing a mask out there. And I'm telling you, I'm wearing it, so that means somebody out there is not. In UK, it's down to 16%. I hope this changes with Boris getting contracting it and then almost dying, and then he's now okay. So this is just something to be mindful of. That's what can help stop the spread. But if we're all not wearing masks, that just instigates the spread. And I found this interesting. Oktoberfest, the amount of beer poured, gosh, that's a lot of beer poured in millions of liters. Guess what? October Housing Fest actually starts in September. It's been canceled. So you can see our new normal, even on the other side, as we start to unwind the economy, is not going to be a normal we're used to until we have a vaccine. And there is light at the end of the tunnel. And here's what it looks like. This is China, BC, before the coronavirus. This is China, AD, after the disease. And this is China reopening their economy. You can see lots and lots of masks. And you can see this is South Korea, lots of masks. This is the new normal on the other side. And we're not going to feel so weird wearing a mask because so many people are going to be wearing a mask. So the macroeconomic outlook, there's all the stuff that was before the coronavirus. They all look absolutely fantastic. You were very, very hard to find a negative slide or a negative piece of the economy. And everything was absolutely looking great. And then we have AD, which is after the disease, and all the slides, all the charts and everything else are looking negative again. Or we haven't seen them negative like this since the Great Recession. So people jump to conclusions. And this is the initial jobless claims. We've seen this. We're going to get another report coming out soon. And you could see this thing totally spiked and it went really high. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, this is about 20. It's going to start to slow down at this point. And the reason for that, and I know this next one's really fuzzy, I apologize for it, but it's the best I could do. This is Google Trend searches for the term file for unemployment. The number of people that are searching for file for unemployment is starting to drop like crazy, which means the unemployment rate is going to subsequently stop as well. So that's what happens when you shut down the economy. All of a sudden, boom, and then you get all the numbers, and then it plateaus. And it stays like this until we reopen, and then they'll fall. This is mortgage-backed purchase applications. This is actually his number I should have updated. This is 35%. This was 2 weeks ago. This last week, it was 31%. Down year over year. So it's not down as heavily as many of us thought, but it still is down year over year. These are purchase applications. This is what we deal with in this room. And we're in uncharted waters right now. Understand, we've never shut down the economy like we have before for all the good of humanity. That's because we've learned from the Spanish flu and everything else as to what needs to be done and the precautions that need to take place. And this is the roadmap for where we go to help save lives. So take a breath, relax. We'll be okay on the other side because we are the United States of America. We are very, very strong. We are the big behemoth. We will come back. There's something that I like to term, or actually Logan came up with this too, AB, America's back, baby. That is where we're going to be. There's going to be lots of charts where they're going to show that America's back. That's after we unlock things. We're going to start to see things resume, and there will be plenty of charts that start to illustrate AB. And the housing market, extremely strong, nothing like prior to the Great Recession. That was the weakest housing market ever. Anybody could blow that thing over. It was a house of cards. This one's different. People aren't using their homes as piggy banks. They're utilizing, they've had to qualify for their mortgages. They put massive amounts of money down. 30% of all homes in the area are owned free and clear. And it means a lot of cash in the system. There's a lot of equity. There was big down payments. It's a really healthy situation, and unemployment was down to its lowest level in over 50 years. And I understand unemployment's back up, but a lot of those jobs are furloughed and will come back. So some people will be casualties in this. Some businesses will be casualties, but it's not going to be as great as what our minds will make up in the interim, or some of the things that I've heard out there. And the Federal Reserve has been really busy, but so has, I love this quote from James Bullard. And this is what he said at the very beginning of this, that most disruption will be in the second quarter. That he actually wanted people to cash in on unemployment because that's what it's there for. They put together the system. They're even sending an extra $600 so that people can cash in on unemployment. The numbers will be unparalleled, but don't get discouraged because this isn't at all comparable to past events in U.S. macroeconomic history. And what he means by that, it's not one industry that brought us down, it's a virus. And then afterwards, all of our industries, nothing was ailing, will start to come back. And if we play our cards right and the virus proceeds as it did in China, then the third quarter, by the way, is July, August, September, would be a transition quarter where we talk about reinfection and businesses will be coming back online. And then at that point in the fourth quarter, in the first quarter of next year, we will see boom quarters. This is actually how I feel. Just why I bring it up. And I came up with this term, I call it a pandestion. We are in the midst of a recession. I don't like it because it's not a normal recession. It's not one that was caused by any one aspect of the economy, like housing brought down the last one and lending. It is a pandemic-induced recession, so I named it a pandestion. That is my term. So I don't know if you guys follow Keeping Current Matters. I highly suggest you do because it is absolutely fantastic. It comes out every single day, Monday through Friday, a little post like this, and they'll send it to you for free. And you go to keepingcurrentmatters.com, you go to their blog, you scroll down on the right-hand side, you enter in your email address, and it'll automatically send it to you. And if you want to be able to personalize it, you can do that. And I think it's like $15 a month or something like that. And but this is one of the things that they put together, and it illustrates how only 2 out of the last 5 recessions were impacted housing. And guess which one they were? It was the Great Recession of 2008, caused by lending and housing. And then we had the 1990s, 1991, that was part of the savings and loan scandal caused by housing. And 2008 was very severe, and that was because it was bad. There were some bad things going on. Watch the Big Short. That it was just a bad situation. The whole world brought down the whole world because everybody was invested in junk, and they thought it was a paper. So we can't compare it to the last recession either. That was led by housing. It was a house of cards. Remember, I told you how strong our housing market fundamentals are, the housing stock. And I like to compare it to the 3 little pigs. There were 3 little pigs. The Great Recession that was caused by housing was a housing stock that was built out of hay. Super easy to blow down. My 2-year-old could blow that thing down. He can barely blow out his candles on his birthday cake back in February. Then we had the savings and loan scandal. That one that wasn't as bad, still was made out of sticks. Big Bad Wolf had no problem blowing that thing down either. Now we have a housing market that is made of brick. That Big Bad Wolf is not going to blow down this housing, the housing stock. I'm telling you, is that strong, the fundamentals. Jerry Powell and the Federal Reserve have been very busy. Just know they're doing a ton behind the scenes. They're even buying paper. They brought the Fed funds rate to 0. They have an alphabet soup of credit facilities. They're just doing a lot. And they've thrown the kitchen sink at it. And a lot of people were talking about we're going to have this V-shaped recovery where it's just going to bounce right back. And some people still subscribe to that. A lot of people on Wall Street and they're economists. However, the more research I've done, I think it's going to be more U-shaped. And U-shaped is where we slowly but surely, now we're coming down towards that bottom. And then as we slowly but surely unwind and things come back online, that we're going to be doing it like this. And it's kind of going to be intentional so that we don't spread the virus. So that's why I think it's going to be more U-shaped, kind of like turning that dial that we talked about. So let's go. We're a very low mortgage rate environment currently today. And why are rates so low? Well, since 1981, when interest rates were at 18%, they were over 18%. There was a time where they're even higher than that. Ever since then, they've been coming down, and they've been coming down internationally, not because of manipulation. That's where, as we became more of a world economy, interest rates, there was this pressure on bringing down interest rates more and more. And interest rates, 30-year interest rates, they are in line with what happens with the news. Economic news that impacts us, that's negative, impacts the way that people operate, investors operate. And right now, I used to say that we had the China trade war, we had immigration, we had Brexit, we had international slow. There's all these different things that were negative enough out there, headlines that brought down interest rates. But now we only need one, and it is coronavirus. That's all anybody's talking about, COVID-19, and which creates panic, which creates, there's a lot of uncertainty. There is, people are talking about the slowdown. They're talking about recessions, pandessions. And as a result, they pull their money out of equities and they start parking their money in the safest place possible. And until prior to this happening, the safest place in the world was United States Treasuries, US bonds. And this is what I follow on a daily basis. I haven't even had to follow it as much lately because it's not really mirroring 30-year mortgages as much right now because the entire system of lending is kind of broken underneath of the hood right now. Really, this is yesterday's US 10-year Treasury. I'm sure it went up a little bit today because we had a little bit of a buyback in with the Dow and the S&P and all that, NASDAQ. But you could see we were at 0.56%. This is unbelievable. We were wondering if we were ever going to get below 1, and probably will, but what's it going to take? And it was just the coronavirus. Here's what I know. Back on the very, very left-hand side of this chart, that is 2018. That is when we had 5% interest rates, November of 2018. You can see how high that is. Then it starts coming down. That's 2019. Until we got to September, you could see this low in September. I actually locked my mortgage on that day. I purchased a house that closed in October, and that was the day I locked. And the reason I locked on that day was because That is when they announced that the United Kingdom was going to kick the can further down the road for Brexit. And China and the United States announced that they were going to come to the trade table and start ironing out a trade agreement. Both happened the same morning. I called my lender and said, hey, lock my loan. And as a result, they did. After that, they went from 3.5% to 3.75% within a couple of days. They stayed at 3.75% until we got to towards the start of February, and they started to deteriorate the more that people started worrying about coronavirus. And then you get to right around the end of February, and we knew it was going to happen. They knew before we even had lockdown protocols across the country. They knew because they were doing like what I was doing, reading a lot, and they knew that this freight train was coming down the tracks and we were not going to avoid it, and it was going to impact us some way or another. And so that's what happens when China originally locked down, and then you had problems. If you remember back then, it was Italy and South Korea. So, but then you had them come way down, and they've been down ever since underneath that 1%. Really, where should interest rates be today? At about 2.75%. That's where 30-year mortgage should be. And instead, they're dancing right around their all-time lows. So, but mortgage interest rates have come down as a result. They're at 3.31%. That's average across the United States. That is a poll that's taken by Freddie Mac, and they release this every Thursday. So this will be coming out tomorrow morning. 3.31 is knocking on the door of the lowest interest rate ever since they tracked this. And it's about to go underneath of that again, I think, in the next blip tomorrow. So we will see. Stay tuned. But you can see, if we should be at 2.75, we're way off. We're about 0.5% too high. And why is that, you wonder? And you see interest rates at 3.25, 3.375%, 3.5%. They're all over the board, and you have to call different lenders, and the lenders, their numbers can change on twice a day, several times a day basis. There's a lot of volatility for lending, and it's broken underneath of the hood. So even though you go to your lender, everything looks all normal, they're all dressed up and all this stuff, there's a lot going on in the back scenes of how lending functions. It's not just that the bank gives you a loan and that's it, and they keep it on their books. That's not how it works. There's a secondary market involved. There's servicers that are involved that are totally getting hosed. And the U.S. Treasury currently is not really helping them out. When I talk about more of that stuff, I get into the weeds. I just understand that underneath of the hood, it's broken. But so with the mortgage market, this is what you have to understand. Be patient. Be patient. We need to tell our clients that it's a little broken underneath the hood, so it's not quite the way that as easy as what you thought in the past, or locks are as easy, all that stuff. Be flexible and understand that rates may be a little bit different than what is expected. Points may be different. If you're looking at refinancing, there's a lot more points that are involved, and locks are different now as well. There are tighter qualifications. They want everything to fit in a nice little package, and if it doesn't, you're going to pay extra for it if you can get a loan at all. Conforming is what they like. They like debt to income ratios being good. They've made the requirements stricter. Credit scores have risen as to what they will take. So it's much harder to find anybody that will do a loan for people with credit below 680, 685. I'm sure that there are some that exist, but that pool of potential lenders has shrunk considerably. And just give a lot of love to your lenders. And the jumbo arena has shut down, not completely. There are still lenders that do it. You just need to know where to go. And I've heard from some lenders that say that there are still lenders out there that are doing them. So you have to be patient with the process. And so LA and housing market, what am I looking at for looking down the road? I'm looking at the supply changes, and I'm looking at demand changes, and I'm looking at the numbers of homes coming on the market right now. That is important to me. And so it's a supply and demand issue. At the very, very beginning of this year, we had not enough homes, so supply, they were all in escrow, and we had and demand through the roof. That's a recipe that totally favors sellers, and prices go like crazy. That is on the very, very left-hand side. We've moved more towards equilibrium now, and we'll get into that. It's supply versus demand, this low supply versus low demand. And so we have the supply issue right now, and it's not we're putting the same number of homes in the market, it's just that we can't move the needle as far as the supply is concerned. And it's a good thing we're not, because it would slow down our market further. This is the active listing inventory in Orange County. Last Thursday, we were at 4,344. That was up 4% in 2 weeks. Last year, we were at 6,933. This is the difference between last year and this year, the orange and blue line. That is 60% more homes on the market last year than where we are today. This is a really low level for where we are right now in the middle of spring. Normally, we're a lot higher and growing. We're not growing much at all. We grew a little bit in the last couple of weeks, but it's not because we've thrown on a lot more homes on the market. 2007, we had 18,000 homes on the market, over 4 times where we are today. So we can't even get to, we can't even get to 4,500 homes in the market. You know, this is, and I don't have this for LA, I only have it going back to 2012, so I can't illustrate this. I can tell you how many homes were on the market back in 2007, but I don't have all the numbers going all the way back. So this is taking a look at 2004 on active inventory in Orange County. This was 2006, hit 16,000 homes in the market. In 2007, 18,000. In 2008, almost 16,000 homes again. That is a lot of homes on the market. And if you look at that, supply versus demand, one on top of each other, there's a lot of blue space. There's a lot of extra homes and very, very little demand. And that is what I like to refer to as inherent demand, which is kind of where we are today, inherent demand. But back then, Great Recession, and we saw it coming. I saw it was coming in 2006. It was lopsided a year prior to everything coming to a complete halt. I knew actually in October of 2005 that we were going to have an issue because we already started to grow. And this is 2012 and 13. We had very few homes on the market. It was sitting right on top of the demand curve, which is just a recipe for an extremely hot seller's market where values were going up $10, $20, $30, $40,000 above the last comp. And this is this year right now on the right-hand side. That shows you where the active listing inventory is compared to demand. Not as hot as 2012 or 2013 or at the very beginning of the year where it was pinching closer together, and it would have continued to pinch. But then we had COVID-19 set in. And if I draw a line across, we have the same demand. You can see we have the same demand. We have Great Recession inherent demand, very, very low. I'll give that to all the buyers and people waiting for this thing to fall off into an abyss. However, this is the part of the equation that they're missing. So they've got the supply and demand. They understand the demand side of the equation. They're missing the supply side of the equation. You could see there is way less supply than where we were at back then in 2006, 7, and 8. And even after that as well. The active listing inventory, this is LA, and this is where we are. Last Thursday, we were at 9,037 homes on the market. And last year, that was up 6% in 2 weeks. So LA actually took a clip, and that's because demand came down a little bit more than I was anticipating. Last year, we're at 12,889. That's 43% more homes on the market last year than this year. That's the orange line to the blue line. In 2007, I told you nearly 4 times the amount of homes on the market, 32,000 homes on the market. That's a lot more than where we're at today at 9. So COVID-19 is definitely suppressing supply. So COVID-19 is suppressing demand, and COVID-19 is suppressing supply. Not a dry cough. I need sleep. That's what I need. So Southern California active listing inventory year over year. This is the number of new for sale signs and patent. You can see this is all of Southern California, so pretty flat. The number of new for sale signs in the past 4 weeks. So I did this Thursday, and I'm going to be doing this every single 2-week period. And the reason for that is because in the prior 4-week period, and I like to crunch them on Thursdays, so tomorrow I'll be doing it again for all of Southern California, just to get a real good read on the number of homes that are coming on the market. In LA County, there were 49% fewer homes that came on the market compared to the last 5-year average. That's half the number of homes coming on the market right now in LA County. In Orange County, 52% low. So once again, half of what normally comes on the market came on the market. And that is COVID-19 suppressing the number of homeowners placing their homes on the market. And I'm a little bit worried that we were reclassified as an essential service. I am glad that we were, so that we can still get transactions done as far as getting an appraiser through or having an inspection done, or you know, taking photographs and having virtual tours and doing all the things we need to do in order to be digital, right? I'm okay with that. The only thing that I'm a little bit hesitant on is that it gives a little bit of a false sense of hope for sellers to think that, or homeowners, that I can place my home on the market, that because we're an essential service, that demand will lift. Here's what's happening. Demand is staying inherent. It's not moving because we're an essential service. So if we get more homes that are coming on the market, so that's why I'm watching that stat so carefully. I don't want to see a lot of homes come on the market right now. So Great Recession, are we the Great Recession? No, I told you, we don't have enough inventory. Versus this COVID-19 demand problem. It is suppressing demand. Check this out. This is Orange County. That's inherent demand, where it's down to. It looks like it's going to continue to go down. It's not. It's going to barely go down from here, and it's going to bottom out. And it's no longer going to go down much further than this. Last Thursday, we were at 1,080. But keep in mind, those are 4 weeks. I'm taking the last 30 days worth of pending sales, and it's all within the time period that we were locked down. So that's why this number kept dropping. Prior to this last report, when I'm taking the last 30 days worth of pending sales velocity, it was taking into consideration some weeks that were still good. So this last one was enough where I went back where it was taking into consideration all of lockdown. So that's a true reflection of where demand is. And we actually put together almost 1,100 homes during the last month being locked down in Orange County. And down 55% in 4 weeks. That's something else to keep in mind. Last year, we were at 2724 in Orange County. That's 152%, which means more than double. So 1.5 times the number of homes. That's the orange versus the blue line. And LA County demand year over year. Last Thursday was at 2479 for all of Los Angeles County. That was down 28% in 2 weeks. It's down 50% in 4 weeks. So it too was half. So the demand was halved, but so was, remember I told you the number of homes coming on the market was halved as well. So that's why we're kind of getting a little bit of a balanced equilibrium. Last year, we were at 5,530. That was 123%, more than double the number of the demand of where it is today. That's the difference between the orange line and the blue line. And this is the expected market time year over year in Orange County. You can see right here that OC last Thursday, this is if you place your home on the market today, when are you going to go into escrow? So we were doing great. Matter of fact, Orange County was having its best spring since 2013. And so was LA County. It was hot. It was definitely hot. And then we turned on this COVID-19 suppressing demand and supply and all things. So OC last Thursday was 121 days, which is technically a slight seller's market. And that means just barely between, and I'll get into that in a second, what slight sellers means. But OC last year was at 76 days. It's a slight seller's market. OC, did I say seller's market? Can't remember what I said. 121 is a slight buyer's market. So OC last year, 76 days was a slight seller's market. It needs to get below 60 for it to be hot. We weren't hot during the spring. You can see the orange line, that was last year. Well, we zoomed past that orange line. It looks like we're gonna go straight up like a meteor, but we're not. And if you look at this, this is LA County expected market time year over year. And LA last Thursday was 109 days. And LA, or last Thursday was 109 days. LA last year was at 70 days. You can see that's balanced. And I know the buyers are just hoping, gosh, you know what, please come down 10%, 20%, 30%. I can't wait. Just like the Great Recession, I can finally buy. You got these low interest rates too. That's what's going to prevent this thing from even unwinding, is because we have very low interest rates. Sellers aren't all of a sudden going to give away the farm. They're just not going to do it. So the market instead has moved to balance or slight buyer's market, depending upon which one. And if I show you this, this will show you where the balanced market is. You can see below that 90 days is a slight seller's market. Below 60 days is a hot seller's market. In between 120 and 150 is actually a slight buyer's market. So balanced means it doesn't favor buyers or sellers. Slight sellers, which is below that balance, that means that sellers get to call more of the shots, but not a lot of appreciation going on. Slight buyers is buyers get to call more of the shots, not a lot of appreciation. Now above the 150, that's where it gets to be a deep buyer's market. During the Great Recession, Orange County made its way almost to 500 days, and LA made its way almost to 400-day expected market time for the entire county. That is slow. And where we're going to go from here, we're going to go flat, and then we're going to come down. After we unlock, we're going to start to ease, and demand will start to pick up, as will the listing inventory. So we'll be watching for that. And LA is currently imbalanced, and it's going to go up maybe towards slight buyer's market, not quite get there because of the number of homes coming on the market and demand being soft, and then it's going to come down from there after we unlock everything. So we're taking a time out. This is kind of like a pause in the housing market currently right now today. And just understand that our housing market is made out of brick. So it's very, very hard for it to have this major impact on us because of how low our inventory is today and with great interest rates. So market overview, understand that the big cruise ship, it's going to take a long time. It usually is about 9 months to a year to change the mentality of sellers and homeowners to the point where they think values are coming down. We need to reduce our price under the last comp. It doesn't happen overnight. Unlike what everybody wants. I know buyers out there that want to write offers 20% less than what they're listed at, and that's going to be a recipe for getting nothing, because nobody's going to give away the farm in this market. It's going to take a long time for it to turn into a buyer's market, and by then we'll be on the other side of this, and demand will start to re-engage, and our market will start to unwind and slowly thaw out. And a couple more slides, and then we'll get into this. This is the expected market time. This is the menu that I talked about. This is in the last report to just know which ranges are the hottest. So if you're LA detached below 500,000, great. Below 750, still good. Below 750 to million, you're balanced. I had somebody ask me, I've got this house that's at $755,000, and I'm not getting that many showings. We've been on the market for 21 days so far, and I'm sitting there thinking, look, it's got to be on the market for like 3 months before you even place the thing into escrow. It's going to take time. This is no longer you cast your net out and it's just giant. You're getting a lot of buyers immediately. That's not the marketplace anymore. We're now going to have the right date, the right price, and then you reel in a buyer with patience. And above 1 million, it really slows down. Above 1.25, that is a long time to wait. Above 2 million, it is definitely slow. It is ground to a halt. Look at the 3 to 4 million, 1,012-day expected market time. My suggestion, don't place your home on the market. And the earliest you can come on the market, if you're in luxury, is August. I would wait, if I could, till next year. Attached, you can see below 500,000 is good. 5 to 750 is balanced. Above 750, it really slows. Above million, just absolutely shut off. And Orange County, they're pretty good below 1 million. The 5 to 750 is the sweet spot. Had somebody else ask me about a property at around $600,000. You can see that. It's just not going to fly. It's still 49-day expected market time. This was, back in the day, it was like 28-day expected market time 6 weeks ago. Totally different. So once you get above 1 million, it really slows down. Once you get above 2 million, attached, the only thing really hot is 250 to 500. That's not even that hot. It's 85-day expected market time. So this is kind of the menu that I put together in the last report. And luxury in LA is above 1.5 million. That's the top 10% of the marketplace. And the expected market time is at 1,077 days for luxury. That's it was at 155 6 weeks ago. So you can see it's totally slow in luxury. And I'm not making these numbers up. It's just that we have all these people competing, and even it has shrunk a little bit, the pool of homes on the market, but demand has shrunk down so much that it has just totally tipped it in the favor of buyers at this point. And luxury in Orange County is at 322 days. That's above $1,250,000. That was 121 6 weeks ago. So where do we go from here? Coronavirus will continue to impact and hamper, impact the amount of supply coming on and damper demand. And we've evolved to a balanced or slight buyer's market for Southern California, Riverside County, and Orange County. Slight buyers, the rest of them are balanced. There's this tug of war that's taking place, not between buyers and sellers. It's actually between buyers' irrational, stupid thinking, that they think that this needs to behave just like the Great Recession. I'm sorry, it's not going to be that way. So it's a tug of war between buyers' irrational thinking and real market realities. 365 days. Over the course of the year, for Orange County, it's only going to be 2%. For LA, it's going to be 3%, and all of SoCal will be 3%. The amount of appreciation, people go, how can we appreciate? Because we did all of our appreciation at the beginning of the year, about 5% in the months of January, February, and half of March. And we still got appreciation in that first quarter. that will, we might erode a little bit in pricing, and it will bring us down to between 2 and 3%, depending upon the county. And mortgage interest rates are going to be the absolute jet fuel that's going to pull us right out of this groggy state that we are in, and it'll instigate demand and help recover. And the luxury, it's going to be sluggish for all of this year and until 2021. So go to reportsonhousing.com, you hit subscribe, it's $15 per month or $150 per year. You get a month free if you use YPN. Here are the FAQ and sample reports. And I do have a business page, Reports on Housing, like it. Put a recommendation up there. I've got exactly 0 during this downturn. I find that amusing. YouTube.com, Reports on Housing. That's my YouTube channel for a lot of videos, so that some people say their clients don't have Facebook, where I do have a YouTube channel. I have my Facebook Lives. The next one is this Friday, so Tuesdays and Fridays at 3 p.m. And now, do we have time for Q&A, Nick? Nicholas, I don't even know. You let me know.
We do.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brenton.
Okay, sorry, I didn't realize you were still on here actually. Yeah, we do have time. We've got a couple questions actually on wait right now. If you guys all have questions out there in the attendees, feel free to put them in the Q&A section right now, and we'll go ahead and answer them live. Stephen, I don't know if you want to pull yours up and just go ahead and answer them that way, or if you want me to read them to you. How do you want to do that?
I can see, I already pulled them up.
Awesome. Okay, go ahead then.
And so, oops, I pulled them up until I did something dumb.
No worries.
Here, let me do it again. There we go. Here we are. Okay, so what is your projection of NODs by third quarter? Well, everything's been put on a pause anyways, A. B, it's not going to be the way that everybody thinks of, that it's going to be. Will there be NODs? Yes. Will they result in short sales? No. Will they result in foreclosures? No. Will there be some? Yes. Will there be more than where we were before? Yeah, because we're coming off of this bottom. We were, as far as people late on their payments and in some sort of default, we were at a 25-year low prior to this. That's huge. That's way different than where we are today. Just understand that we're at a different spot right now. It's so healthy that when we're on the other side of this, a lot of these jobs are furloughed. They'll come back. The lenders are going to want to work with them because they're qualified borrowers, and they don't want to have to foreclose. So what they're going to be ramping up are all their workout units, because they're going to have to work things out. Does that mean what they're going to do is stick a lot of these payments that were missed, put them on the backside? If they go and sell their house, they're going to have to pay what they missed. For those people that really lost their job, there's a lot of people with equity, and they will be able to sell their houses. There are some people that put very little down, or FHA, that were within the last year and a half. Those are the people that get burned. That's a small portion of the market, especially here in Southern California. We also have to understand that the number of the unemployment rate, 80% of them are in the low income brackets. There's low, middle, high. 80% are within that low income bracket, which will impact renters more than anything else. So when we see those horrifying unemployment numbers, the impact on the middle class and upper class isn't as great as what some people might imagine. So the impact is not going to be as big. The only caveat to all that is we have a reinfection rate. We all have to come back, and this thing prolongs. So that's what I'm not rooting for. That's why I don't want to unlock things. I want to do things the right way. We've been doing it this long. Well, heck, we might as well cross the finish line. I'm a runner. I know what it's like. We can't stop like when you're like 20 yards from finishing the race. Let's finish this thing. So it's a avert disaster, and the lenders and everybody's going to work things out, and the government's going to throw a lot of money at it as well. How's this affecting the rental market? So the rental market, at least CAR has come out with a lot of great things to tap into. I would go to CAR's coronavirus page, and they have a lot of answers to a lot of these different questions, and they have the different forms that came out so that you can have a dialogue for those people that have rentals. We need to open up the dialogue with all of our renters. It turns out that it was originally something like 30% of all rent was missed. And then that number was revised after that initial week. After the second week, the number went down to 13%. So 13%, gosh, I gotta write that down because so many people don't know what the true number was. They just saw the 30. That was after the first week. But after the second week, we got only 13%. So there are a number that were affected, but you you need to figure out what is going to be the impact on your tenants, and then kind of work out some sort of a plan. If they're going to be getting money, stipend from the government and unemployment and all this stuff, what can they afford? What can they do? What are you going to do to help them along the way? Can they reduce your rent to $500 and then the difference you do over a payment plan? We've got to open up that dialogue with our renters and help them figure out a pathway, because everybody's affected, including the landlords. So we haven't seen the big gigantic effect yet, but it's going to affect it down the road. And so stay tuned for that. 3% appreciation for SoCal is across all price points. Where do you anticipate values in the sub 5, 750, and million plus ranges? I would imagine high end will drop. Yeah, it boils down to motivation. Anybody that has to sell might be a bit more motivated to sell. There might be a little bit more pushback. It's going to be a lot harder if you need to move a property in the upper ranges above $1 million. The higher you get, the harder it is going to be to move a property. So if they absolutely are in some sort of quagmire where they have to do something, well, then at that point, yeah, they do have a bit of an issue, and they might have to, there might be a little bit of pain. But on the reverse side, when things go again, we're going to see that come back, and the market will improve, and then you'll see it bounce back as far as pricing is concerned too. Because in the middle ranges, there's not a lot of pushback at all in pricing, as you can see by the numbers that I put together. And homeowners aren't going to all of a sudden give away the farm. Like I said, there's not that many people that couldn't qualify for their loan yet still got a loan. That was the house of cards of the Great Recession. They qualified for loans, and they had to prove that they could actually make the monthly payment. So that I don't see a lot below $1 million in changes in price, but it could happen above in the upper ranges. When will the stock market bottom out? It kind of has been seesawing like this. So I think it's kind of reached that bottom. We could go down further. I don't know. I just watch it and kind of see. I listen to a lot of smart people, and it seems to be like they don't quite know, and they think that some people are overreacting or some people aren't reacting enough. So it just depends upon which talking head you're listening to. Will the interest rates get better for all types of loans? Yeah, when you're saying non-QM, which amounts to between 3 and 4% of the entire market, I don't foresee that coming back until 2021. And the reason for that is because that's when we're going to have a vaccine. Once we have a vaccine in place, at that point, yeah, we can start to unwind it and thaw out. We're going back to 2014, 2015 tightening, so it's tight again. And all those people that didn't have to supply as much paperwork, they were called subprime, but you had to put like 23% down. Those have all vanished. They're gone. All that's gone. So yeah, there was subprime, but they put 30% down. So they own their house, and they have a lot of equity in their house. It's unlike before where we had subprime and you put 0 down. So we're not in that same situation. So your projections are positive and very reassuring for realtors. However, will the rapidly increasing unemployment rate and tightening lending restrictions affect that? What if there is a second wave of COVID-19 in fall or winter? Well, that's what we're trying to mitigate by doing what we're doing, and then having the proper social distancing protocols and masks and different things like that down the road. If we don't behave ourselves, well, then absolutely, we could have a reoccurrence, and it can be really ugly, and then we'll have to visit it at that point. I'm hoping that everybody gets a clue and does everything the proper way. And I already talked about unemployment, that the unemployment rate is not going to continue to go up. It's going to start to abate. And that's because we did it all of a sudden. Everybody clamored, and most everybody that needed to take unemployment has already taken unemployment. There's still some people like our industry where they finally got the guidelines in place last week, so there will be some increases. But after this coming up print that we're going to see, which is coming out, I believe tomorrow, we should start to see unemployment totally abate, where it'll flatline until we go back online. All those furloughed jobs will come back. Not all of them, but most of them will. So I'm not really that concerned. I have my concerns. There will be casualties. There will be people that are affected by this. There will be restaurants that close down. There will be businesses that can't make it. There's a lot of that stuff. And it's very, very unfortunate circumstances. But we've all had to do our part for our moms and dads and grandmothers and grandparents and everybody else that have helped us, helped raise us all. We just want to keep everybody alive. Look at these nursing homes and what's happening. It's absolutely catastrophic. What do you think the unemployment impact of renters will be on leveraged landlords? well, I know it's way different to get a new loan, so it's going to be hard to unload these loans as well. It's something that I know that's an arena that's going to be hard to sell right now, because that it'll fall into luxury and needs somebody to invest. And if you're an investor, those are the kind of people that are heavily leveraged that you might be able to take advantage of in this kind of a market. And because there's not a whole heck of a lot of programs that are available for these people. So they're just going to have to look for help in any way they possibly can and work with the landlords that they have, with their tenants as much as they possibly can to get some sort of payment plan going. What do you think the unemployment impact of renters? We just said that. The reopening of Singapore and South Korea resulted in virus spikes. Yeah, that's what we're already talking about. If you remember, during my thing, I talked about the gentleman from the Federal Reserve. He talked about the third quarter is going to be where we're addressing new spikes. They're addressing their new spikes. It's not till the fourth quarter where we start to see a boom quarter. So businesses start coming online, things start to unwind a bit, and we're back to normal as much as possible, as we possibly can without some sort of a vaccine. But that's what we're going to have to deal with as a society. So since virus is just waiting until we go back to normalize, which will drive more isolation and prolong economic value. So I just hope that everybody just does the right thing. I'm not going to point fingers at other areas of the country, but I could tell you this: I don't want them to open up beaches for the 4th of July and all that stuff. As great as it would be to all go to pack a beach and enjoy the sunshine, I think I'm fine with enjoying my own strip of land that I have and the social distancing, so that we do our own part. I know I love the 4th of July, and I know that I live in Ladera Ranch, South Orange County community. We have this great 4th of July show, and we're all so packed in there. There's no way that is occurring. So 4th of July is going to look completely different. We've all got to do our part and hold the people across the country that aren't doing their part a little bit accountable. And hopefully they'll learn from their lessons. When we are reading through your reports, what would be some key indicators that the luxury market is starting to recover? Yeah, I have a luxury report section and a paragraph. And that's what I'd be watching. I'd be watching what's going on with supply and demand in any given period of time. For LA, it's above 1.5. For Orange County, it's above 1.25. And it's looking to see what's going on in both the inventory changes from every 2 weeks. Also look at the year-over-year changes, and then see what's going on in the expected market time changes from the different price ranges. I bring all of that up in that luxury section. So I would look at that. What about income 2 to 4 units for sale, holding listings? Should I? Yeah, you know what? I actually, I follow income property. I don't write about it. It's its own little piece. And I can't get that into detail on it. Don't have enough statistics and data, but my thinking is it's most of the stuff is going to fall in the luxury price range, and it's going to require an investor to purchase it. And right now, the appetite for investors to jump on things is not great. I know that that there are people that are ready to pounce, and they're waiting for that moment, and they're waiting for these income properties for them to get to a point where they're hurting enough, where then that's where people will take advantage of that. And that's just, unfortunately, going to be a repercussion and a casualty of what we're dealing with right now. So, hey, I think we just about did it. We cleared all the Q&A. My head is swimming right now. I'm going to probably take a nap. I was telling them beforehand that I am tired. And so if you have other questions, you can contact me. I won't write them right away because I think I need a nap so I can make my way through this. So thank you very much. Flipping market, how does it look within the next 3 months? Flips always look good. I wouldn't do flips until I got to the fall. That's when I would do flips. I know people that are very concerned. I know friends that are flippers, and yeah, they really show nice, but unless it's in the right juiciest price range, you can see the different price ranges that are completely slow and the ones that have stopped. So I have a bit of concern until we get to the other side of this thing. So thank you very much. I appreciate it. Go to Reports on Housing, subscribe, YPN, that's the code. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Brenton, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Stephen. I hope everybody got some good information today. One more reminder, on Friday, we are having our Wake Up with YPN at 9 a.m. Zoom webinar, similar format to this. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more on property tax transfers, that's a great place to be. Thanks again, Stephen. Awesome. And we really appreciate you joining us today.
Thank you much. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.